Hi everyone, and welcome on board the sparkly new Sun Princess. We are really excited about this ship because it's very new and the first in a new class of princess ships.
We're going to guide you round Sun Princess as it departs from Port Everglades in Florida and sails around the beautiful Caribbean. Now, we were hoping that any initial glitches would be ironed out by now and that it would live up to the hype and anticipation that accompanies the launch of a new ship of this cost and size.
Whilst this is an amazing cruise ship, as you will discover, all is not perfect. We've identified 4 key reasons why we can't honestly say we love this, and towards the end of the video we'll tell you what those are, and we'll offer some advice to help you decide whether this is the right ship for you. And if you are coming on board at some point, we'll offer tips to help you avoid some of the pitfalls which we've identified.
Now, we're going to take you on a tour of the ship, tell you about the entertainment and activities, the food, including the complimentary and the paid for options. We're going to tell you about the bars and the drinks prices, plus a short review of the Princess packages. We'll talk about and show you the staterooms, including some really important tips which we think you need to know. You'll get to know about the app, the famous Medallion, boarding and disembarkation processes, and what we paid for our cruise. And finally, we'll give you a completely honest conclusion, including our take on the overall service which Princess is delivering on what is now the pride of its fleet.
Let's start our review with a tour of the ship. We cruised on Sun Princess in November 2024, about 6 months after its maiden voyage, so this review reflects recent updates. Some specialty restaurants have relocated, and Park 19, a key youth feature, has been removed. Sun Princess's layout felt less intuitive than other ships, making it a bit harder to navigate. For instance, the spa is split between 2 areas. Guest services are isolated on Deck 6, and the casino acts as a smoky barrier between the piazza and the theatre on Deck 8.
The piazza spans decks 7 to 9 and serves as the ship's centrepiece. While some find it less charming than similar spaces on other Princess ships, we appreciated its versatility for entertainment. It features tiered seating, surrounding bars and eateries, and a striking digital screen. To orientate yourself, facing the screen means the front of the ship is ahead, with starboard and therefore odd-numbered staterooms on your right, and key areas like the casino, theatre and sanctuary in the front of you, whilst dining rooms, the eatery and elevators are behind. So let's begin on Deck 6, home to guest services, Firefly Park Kids Facility, Soleil Dining Room and Lotus Spa. Notably, there's no central route connecting these areas. You'll need to navigate side corridors past staterooms or go up a deck and back down to reach the dining room, highlighting the ship's awkward layout.
On Deck 7, starting at the front, is the Princess Arena, the lower level of the theatre with 1,000-seat capacity and a circular stage. Despite its size, seeming small for a 5,000-passenger ship, it works well for the tailored shows, and we always found seating, though some views are less than ideal. Nearby are 2 kids' facilities, Underground and Neon Grove. Moving back, you'll find Good Spirits, a quiet bar offering bespoke drinks and events like wine tastings, and the specialty restaurant Butcher's Block by Dario. Further along are a coffee outlet and gelateria, where guests with the packages enjoy included desserts. Popular venues include 200-seat Princess Live, hosting quizzes and shows, and O'Malley's Bar, an Irish-themed pub with live music nightly, though its small size may limit its capacity. Around the piazza you'll find Bellini's Cocktail Bar, fish speciality Catch by Rudy, and Coffee Currents, with ample seating nearby. There's also a small outdoor area near Coffee Currents, but no seating. Continuing back, the starboard side hosts the first Princess shops, offering modestly priced items, followed by the Crown Grill restaurant and Wheelhouse Bar, which feels more like a pavement cafe due to its location. At the rear are the Eclipse Anytime Dining Room and access to Soleil Dining Room via the stairs.
On Deck 8, the front houses the theatre's upper level, leading directly into the casino, which is the only passage to the piazza on this deck and a smoking area. On the port side is Spellbound. Off the piazza are Crooner's Bar, Makoto Ocean, which is a sushi speciality, and Oceanfront Bar, with tiered seating overlooking the piazza. Further back are the central stairway, Japanese speciality restaurant Yumai, and the higher end princess shops on the starboard side. At the back is the exclusive Sanctuary restaurant, and just before this you'll find the popular Sabatini's Italian. At the rear is the Wakeview Terrace, with a pool, hot tubs, a bar and seating. While accessible via the Sanctuary restaurant, most reach it via stairs from deck 9. 2 single elevators here on either side of the bar connect to deck 17.
Moving on to deck 9, the front third contains staterooms, including cabana deck rooms, requiring passage through stateroom corridors to reach the piazza. The top piazza level features seating, future cruises, loyalty services, photo areas and shore excursions. Behind the piazza are the International Cafe, a 24-hour coffee and free food place, and Alfredo's Pizza, which is fee-based unless you're on a package. Past the central elevators lies the eatery, with doors to an outdoor promenade featuring tables, seating, a bar and food outlets, Mexican on the port side, pizza, free ice cream and another bar starboard side. At the rear are stairs to deck 8 and the American Diner, a large space that feels underutilised. Decks 10 to 16 are primarily staterooms, with 2 key features on deck 16, the signature suite lounge at the rear and the sea view terrace at the front, accessible via deck 17 as part of the dome area. Moving to decks 17 to 19, which are the main outside and pool areas of the ship. On deck 17, the front houses the dome, a multi-level complex with an adult-only terrace, hot tubs, a pool partially inside the dome, and plenty of sunbeds. While breezy on windy sea days, it's beautifully designed and popular, yet spacious. Inside the dome are the Cascade Bar and air-conditioned lounging areas. For our cruise, these were open about half the time during the day when not being used for other activities such as rehearsals. Moving back, you'll find bars and excellent food outlets, Lido Greens, Grill, Taco and Slice, followed by 2 main pools, hot tubs and covered seating. The mixed bar and coffee and cones are near the central elevators, with a poolside screen facing forward. In other words, if you're facing the screen, then you are looking towards the back of the ship. The rear has staterooms and Love by Brito, an upscale dining venue with 2 terraces exclusive to its guests.
On deck 18, the upper levels of the dome feature more sunbeds, hot tubs and a sun bar overlooking the pools. Towards the centre are the gym, studio and Lotus Salon. The back third is the Sanctuary Club, an exclusive area for suite and Sanctuary balcony guests, offering a tranquil escape from busier areas. Note that day passes are no longer available. On deck 19, the highest deck, there is a small jogging track, sports court and a peaceful sunbed area overlooking the Sanctuary. While popular, the sports area feels undersized when there are lots of kids aboard, particularly since the originally planned Park 19 was scrapped.
In terms of overall ship layout, we think that Sun Princess prioritises staterooms and revenue-generating spaces over quiet public areas, affecting the ship's overall flow. Okay, so what about the entertainment and activities? Well, let's start by saying that this, in our view, is the ship's strongest point. The programme is very extensive and driven by what would appear to be a professional and highly motivated activities team led by a dynamic Kiwi cruise director, Cole. There are weak points and we'll cover those in a moment, but broadly speaking, we were wowed by the quality and diversity of activities, ranging from quizzes, game shows to music, dancing and production shows. The piazza is very well used and features a wide range of events throughout the day, including game shows, quizzes, dancing, music and acrobat shows. There was always something going on. Princess Live, while small, was popular but never overcrowded on our cruise.
The theatre, known as the arena, looked small, but there were always a small number of free seats for each show. Being picky, we had read that there are 4 production shows, but we only had 3. These included high quality dancing and choreography and were very entertaining. A 4th production show would be nice, although unusual for a 7-day itinerary. And one of our few gripes was it felt as if they'd run out of steam in the arena on the last night, when a Tina Turner tribute was scheduled, utilising the same guest performer as 2 nights previously and a replacement to the original programme. The pool deck was used for live entertainment, including a live band most days during the day. The sail away party was the best we've seen, including performances by the ship's singers and dancers, and there were 2 evening events by the pool. A deck party which was great fun and a real credit to the activities team, and then a silent disco, which might be a novelty for some but fell some way short of Celebrity Cruises' equivalent. The pool deck also shows movies under the stars on the big screen, day and night, plus sport when there are big events on.
Don't forget as well that there's live music in O'Malley's pub, and in theory, Crooner's Bar has a piano player, although we didn't actually see them in action at all, and we did wonder how they would fare competing with the noise from the piazza. So let's cover the dome now. This absolutely magical space has real potential, but was not able to be fully realised on our cruise. It is due to host acrobatic shows, but these could not be held due to safety issues with some of the equipment, and so these were replaced on our cruise with a couple of stage-based acts, which were quite frankly disappointing, but staff told us that this should be rectified shortly. It's clearly designed to compete with the Aqua Theatre on Royal Caribbean's Oasis class ships, but will struggle to do so even when operating fully due to its size. It holds just over 200 guests, whilst the Aqua Theatres hold 1,400. Now, we've read reports that guests had to turn up an hour before shows in order to get a seat when it was operating fully. Not surprising, given that its schedule, we were told, is to host 3 different shows on a 7-day cruise, with each show airing twice. In other words, just 1,200 total seats available for a guest capacity of 5,000. We'd not be surprised if Princess elects to monetize this and charge for access in the future, but let's see. Whilst not able to host West End style shows, we think that this ship does a great job with its entertainment, and if that's what attracts you to a ship, then add Sun Princess to your bucket list.
Of course, food will often be a key factor in your judgment about a cruise, and this is an area where, in our opinion, Sun Princess still has some work to do. Let's start with the free dining options, which are included in your standard cruise fare. The main dining rooms at the back of the ship are on 2 levels, with a 3rd reserved for suite guests.
Now, whilst the main dining rooms are nice, they do lack the kind of wow factor that you found on, for example, Royal Caribbean's main dining rooms. On level 6, the Soleil is a fixed time option with dinner sittings at good times, 5:30 and 7:30, well timed to fit in with the shows in the Princess Arena. On level 7 is the Eclipse dining room, which is for guests with a flexible anytime dining option, although in reality it would seem that anytime guests are also allocated unused tables on level 6.
Our first experience of the main dining room was this congestion in the corridors leading to the main dining rooms, as guests queue to get to both rooms on levels 6 and 7, and you can only get to level 6 via the level 7 stairway. There were very limited opportunities to actually reserve decent times for the anytime dining, so many people were turning up for a table without a reservation, hence the queues. Now, we had a fixed seating on level 6 at 7:30, This is our preference because we find that fixed time dining generally gives the opportunity to build up a rapport with the waiting staff.
Now, the dining rooms on this ship are of an unusual design, with serving areas dotted around the room, meaning that some tables, including ours, give the impression of being in a kind of corridor. Now, on our first night, the service was, quite frankly, pretty poor. It was slow, and it felt to us like the waiter and assistant simply had too many tables to attend to, as each one in the section was full. There was virtually no rapport or explanation of the menu. Our empty food plates took an age to be cleared.
And do you remember my main course arrived at the same time as one of your starters?
Now, the food was actually pretty good and beautifully presented, but sadly it was only lukewarm. The maitre d' stopped by to ask us about our experience, and we were honest. He indicated that the slow service on day one is an endemic problem, not just on some Princess, but on the fleet as a whole.
Tea and coffee are available at the end of the meal for free, but we had to ask for it. We had hoped that the first night was a glitch, but sadly the overall service and lukewarm food were a consistent factor in the main dining room throughout the cruise. Anecdotally, other guests offered the same feedback, and our observation is that waiters appear to have to spend too long on trips to the kitchens to pick up orders rather than attending to tables, meaning that slick service, guest rapport, and general polish which top-class cruise lines offer was just not present.
Now, we'd have preferred a better choice of hot desserts and a few more dishes from Asia and India, but the overall food was actually of a pretty good standard.
Yeah, the overall food was very tasty. In terms of other free options, let's talk about the buffet. Now, Princess elects to have crew serve food to guests in the buffet rather than self-serve, and this in itself creates a problem with speed of service. When you add to that the design of the eatery, which is the main buffet restaurant, the result is something which has a feel of a works canteen rather than a traditional cruise ship buffet.
Once again, the food itself is good, with salads particularly so, but the eatery gets incredibly busy at peak breakfast and lunchtime, to a point where you literally cannot move, and the design is such that crew have to wheel trolleys around, creating further blockages. The free drinks options on the ship are very limited, presumably in line with what appears to be a general policy of encouraging guests to pay for extra stuff. At breakfast there are jugs of juices, but these disappear, and for the rest of the day there's only diluted lemonade and cold tea available, in addition to the tea and coffee. The drink stations themselves consist of urns of hot water and coffee, which regularly run out or are only lukewarm.
A major frustration for us was that the other free restaurant, the American Diner, takes up significant real estate at the back of the eatery and yet is closed off until 11 a.m. after the peak breakfast rush, which seems mad to us. Now, the American Diner, as we've said, is another free place to eat and offers exactly as the name suggests. It's a nice concept, but once again, the polish on the service was missing. One of us was served our main course a full 15 minutes before that other person received theirs, and the food was once again lukewarm.
Now, each side of the eatery are what they call promenade cafes, which are actually high points in the free food offering. They serve pizza on one side and Mexican food and burgers on the other side. And both the service and the food here were of a good standard. The pizza place also offers the only ice cream on the ship, which apparently was very nice, according to our ice cream guru.
Our other observation regarding the outside areas of the eatery relates to the overall cleanliness of the place. Rather like the main dining room, the removal of dirty plates and cutlery took a long time, meaning that the ship's appearance was not always as you imagine Princess would aspire it to be. In addition to this, the outside decks on level 9 did not appear to be swept or cleaned regularly enough, adding to an overall poor impression.
Now, the final free food offering on the lower decks are at the coffee outlets on decks 7 and 9, where you can obtain sweet treats and toasted sandwiches, and the selection here was absolutely excellent. Moving up to the pool deck, called Lido Slice, there are 4 food options.
There's a really nice salad bar, a burger and fries joint, a pizza place, and a yummy Mexican outlet. All of these were nice, but the queue for the Mexican in particular was long during the 2-hour lunch period. The only free drinks around the pool areas near the food serveries, and you can obtain lemonade from this one machine and water only.
Princess has a large number of what are commonly referred to as specialty restaurants. This is effectively code for those which are not included in your standard cruise fare, but either require a payment of an additional fee or form part of a package. On this ship, they fit into 3 categories.
Firstly, there are the coffee shops on decks 7, 9 and 17 where you can obtain specialty coffees and teas and paid for ice cream. These are reasonably priced but included if you have the Princess Plus or Premier packages.
Next, we have what are badged as the casual dining venues. These are O'Malley's Pub and Alfredo's Pizzeria, and here you either pay a modest fee or they are included in the packages. We ate at Alfredo's and enjoyed the atmosphere, and our calzone was very tasty, but whether it's better than the free cooked pizza on deck 9 is debatable.
The final categories of specialty restaurants are those listed on the screen now, and there's plenty of them. These come with a heftier price tag, although prices are lower than both Royal Caribbean and Celebrity specialty restaurants. They are now included in the Princess Premier package, and this, according to staff, has been a game changer because guests with these packages tend to book out all of the restaurants well in advance of their cruise. For our particular cruise, there was absolutely no availability to book on the boat, although staff did say that cancellations can happen and these can free up places so you can just ask on the day. We never got one.
Moving on to bars and drinks now. Prices on some Princess for those without either package are consistent with, if not a little lower than those charged by Celebrity and Royal Caribbean. You'll pay in the region of $3 for a soda, $12 for a glass of house wine such as Cabernet Sauvignon, $12 for a pina colada, and $9 for a bottled beer, or $10 for an American pint. That's less than half a litre of draft beer. Bottles of house wine come in at around $42. These are all subject to a mandatory 18% service charge. These drinks are also included in the basic Princess Plus package.
It's worth remembering that you can bring on board on embarkation day only up to 1 standard-sized bottle of wine or champagne per adult passenger. This is to be drunk in the cabin, or alternatively you can take it to dinner with you and pay a corkage fee of $20, which is not subject to a service charge. If you elect to bring wine on board, then it's best to put it in your carry-on bags, and also worth noting that there appear to be no checks of the type or amount of alcohol brought on board in this manner on embarkation day for us.
At this point, we should also mention an ordering option called Ocean Now. This is included if you have either package or costs $15 per person if you don't, and this fee covers you for the whole cruise. It allows you to order items via the app for delivery wherever you are on the ship. Now, we didn't sign up for this, but reports from fellow guests were mixed. Many reported quite long wait times, whilst we've also seen reports that in some cases even items which you'd expect to be free, such as pizza, were delivered for free but incurred a charge for the item.
We touched on free drinks in the food section, but we'll reiterate that the range and availability of free hot drinks and cold drinks such as lemonade, juice and iced teas are way more limited on some Princess than either Celebrity or Royal Caribbean. The Princess app works as well as any we've used. It includes a messaging function where you can contact fellow guests and also guest services who respond promptly. You can make dining reservations on it in theory, although of course there were none available for any of the specialty restaurants every time we checked on our cruise. Guests who've cruised with other companies before will be used to using a ship card to access everything and pay for purchases. Princess has replaced this with a Medallion, which take things up a level.
Whilst not a reason on its own to select Princess, it certainly adds a layer of ease and convenience to your cruise. It allows crew to identify you without actually needing to swipe. It unlocks your stateroom door as you approach and also permits you to locate fellow guests wherever they may be on the ship. US-based guests can elect to have theirs posted to them before departure, but this wasn't available to us in the UK. As you will see shortly, the check-in process was so swift that this wasn't an issue. If you're so inclined, you can purchase special holders for your medallion.
Let's touch on the tendering, embarkation and disembarkation processes now. These were as efficient as any we've seen, likely made partly so because much of the preparation was done online before arrival. We arrived at Port Everglades Terminal 2 at 10:30 a.m, an hour earlier than our first check-in time as we were back to back from another cruise. There was no line for either security or check-in. The clerk scanned our passport and handed us our medallions all in the space of about 2 minutes, and we were on board the Sun Princess well before 11 a.m.
One observation we would make is that normally when you board a cruise ship, you access the ship via a deck which makes an impression. In the case of Sun Princess, this would be via deck 7 and the piazza. In our instance, we boarded on the landing deck, which is not particularly impressive. It's a shame because it does temper your excitement slightly, and in hindsight underlines the lack of flow in this ship.
Disembarkation was similarly slick. We received our requested later departure time, and we and our bags were shoreside before 9 a.m. Much of this is down to the efficiency of the ship, but it's also worth noting that at both Port Everglades and Port Canaveral, immigration is using a facial recognition system, which makes that element of arriving back in the USA much quicker. One of the ports on our itinerary was Belize, which required a long tender ride. This was a highly efficient operation.
Moving on to the packages now. In this review, we are just going to concentrate on giving a summary of the 2 key packages on Princess. And we're doing this because they are actually a little bit different from some other companies. Princess chooses to offer 2 packages which bundle a number of benefits together, not just drinks. And this can at first make them very appealing, particularly when set against drinks packages from other companies. The warning though is the same as with any cruise drinks package. They only really offer value if you would have purchased the added benefits anyway.
The Princess Plus and Premier packages bundle together gratuities, Wi-Fi and drinks, albeit at differing levels. In addition, they offer ancillary benefits, probably the most notable of which is the addition of unlimited selected specialty restaurants to the Premier package.
The benefits advertised for the 2 packages are on the screen now, and here are the key differences between them.
Wi-Fi. Premier offers Wi-Fi for up to 4 devices per guest, Plus offers just 1 device.
Drinks. Premier covers unlimited drinks up to $20 each, Plus limits this to $15 drinks with a maximum of 15 per day.
Specialty dining. Premier includes unlimited specialty dining at selected venues. Plus does not include any.
Casual dining. Premier covers unlimited casual dining visits, Plus offers 2 visits per cruise.
And the difference in price? Well, the Plus package costs $60 per day, while the Premier package is $90 per day. We can't be certain, but we don't think that these packages are subject to the 18% gratuity charge, unlike the drinks package on many ships.
So let's talk about the staterooms. We'd booked a guarantee inside stateroom, which means that you can be allocated literally any cabin on the ship. Guarantee staterooms offer great value if you're happy not to select the location. Now, we've done this numerous times, and in our experience, you rarely are allocated the lowest graded cabin. We were allocated stateroom 10415, which was advertised as an upgrade when allocated about 3 weeks ahead of the sailing.
Now, the first thing to say is that standard inside staterooms on this ship are small, probably the smallest we've seen. Now, that's not a criticism, but if you opt for an inside, then you need to be prepared for that. On the other hand, it's probably the best appointed stateroom we've ever stayed in. The storage is excellent, there are plenty of well positioned plugs including standard size and USB-C plugs, and the bed is very comfortable. The bathroom is of a standard size with some storage, but the shower is especially nice, isn't it? And they provide a good selection of gels and shampoos.
The TV is a smart TV as you'd expect and includes a massive range of shows and movies, all free. The Medallion allows very easy access to your stateroom, and the high-tech entry screen allows you to nominate Do Not Disturb or Please Clean My Room. Talking of which, one area where the service on this ship excelled was the stateroom attendants, who are extremely helpful, hard-working and efficient, and provide 2 visits per day. And it had the best hairdryer ever, but there were no pillow chocolates or towel admirals.
Now, we were a bit tired on the first night and opted for an early night at 11 p.m. When we got back to our stateroom, we realised we had a massive problem. Some of the staterooms on deck 10, including all of those in this section here, sit above or close to the piazza, where there is lively and noisy entertainment till gone midnight, and starting again at 9 a.m. the following morning.
The noise was so loud in our cabin that it actually made the floor vibrate and sleep was impossible. We used the chat feature on the app to contact guest services immediately and got a response within 10 minutes. The noise stopped at midnight as advertised, and we continued our discussion the following morning, aware that parties are held in the piazza until midnight every evening. The guest services team were generally very efficient in handling our complaint, and by 11 a.m. we were installed in a new cabin, pretty much a mirror of the original, now on deck 15.
Now they offered to move our belongings for us, and overall we were impressed with how the situation was handled and compensated. But the moral of the story is that future guests should be aware that staterooms on deck 10, which sit over the piazza, may be noisy, and we mean really noisy.
Here's a balcony stateroom. This one's quite a bit bigger than the inside stateroom that we had, partly because it also has quite a large sofa bed, plus of course the balcony. These sanctuary staterooms are located in premium locations around the ship, and they offer additional packaged items including access to the sanctuary club, a private restaurant and the Princess Premier all-inclusive package.
The spa on some Princess is split in 2, with the spa treatments and saunas being located on deck 6, whilst the salons and gyms are located on deck 18. We used the sauna and steam rooms for a day, paying the rate of $49 per person, and thought they were excellent, among the best we've seen at sea and not too crowded. You could also pay $179 for access for the whole cruise. Whilst we didn't use the paid massages, we did receive a free 10-minute taster, which was very pleasant. If you are interested in a treatment, then keep an eye out for specials which seem to crop up.
You'd expect the gym on a brand new ship to be something special, but sadly it was a little disappointing. It's much smaller than you'd expect, and the range of equipment is not as wide as we've seen even on older ships. Some items didn't work despite being almost new. The freeway area is particularly inadequate. They do offer a range of classes including spin, but these are ludicrously priced at $30 for a 30-minute session, and reports from guests who did use them were not encouraging. Some or all classes are included with the packages, but judging from feedback we received, this alone is not a reason to buy a package. One tip which might help is that the studio area here is often empty and makes a good area to do your stretching.
So, before we move on to our conclusions, here are some top tips which might help you get the best out of Sun Princess.
Firstly, avoid the interior staterooms over the piazza on deck 10.
If you can, avoid the eatery at peak breakfast and lunch times.
Peace and quiet are hard to find. The dome, if open, offers some, as does the rear area of deck 19.
The deck 8 pool area is nice, and the elevators at the back of the ship offer great views over the ocean.
Unless you're with children, you might want to consider avoiding cruises during school break times.
If you want to secure specialty dining slots, then book them early, before you board if you can.
In terms of booking your cruise, we paid in British pounds the equivalent of $725 per person for an interior stateroom, including taxes and fees but not gratuities. One thing we did note using a VPN is that, unusually, prices on the UK website were cheaper than those on the US equivalent. So if you're US based and inclined to do so, it might be worth investigating this further, provided that you can make the payment portal work.
So the Princess motto is, I love this. Did we?
To be perfectly honest, no, we didn't love it, but we did really like it. And I have to say, as the cruise went on, I began to like it more and more. So if it wasn't for that first maybe 24 hours, I think we may have had a different answer.
Yeah, I think so. And as we're going to discuss in a second, this ship definitely grew on us. Having said that, there are some quite big issues that we think Princess probably needs to do to work on to get itself to that point where guests will say, I love this.
But there are also points that Princess do that mean guests will definitely say they love these bits of the cruise.
And let's talk about those now. There are some great features, aren't there?
Yeah, the overall entertainment and activity program is amazing, driven by a top cruise director and talented staff. The Piazza and Dome are stunning venues, and we liked movies under the stars.
The coffee outlets work really well, as do the food outlets on the pool deck and the promenade cafes. Our stateroom, although small, was superbly appointed, and the stateroom service was outstanding.
And even on sea days, it was possible to find sunbeds, and we liked the fact that towels were easily accessible and you didn't have to sign them out.
The Medallion works really well, and for almost the first time ever on a cruise ship, we actually were impressed with guest services. Whilst we would always question whether drinks packages really offer value for money, the Princess Plus and Premier plans appear to be cheaper than their equivalents on other lines.
But at the start, we said that there are 4 big ticket items that would turn like into love. So, the big one.
Well, it's the free dining options. Both the main dining room and the buffet don't live up to the high standards set by similar cruise lines. Put quite simply, Sun Princess, in our view, currently lacks an attention to detail that makes an average cruise ship a little bit special. Now, this is mostly a reflection of the service, but it's also impacted by the layout in both the main dining room and the buffet.
Secondly, and surprisingly, the overall appearance of some areas of the ship was spoilt by a lack of fundamental cleanliness. We've already mentioned dirty plates and decks in the eatery area, but we also noticed splashes and stains on the walls of the main dining room which had not been cleaned, and this is a new ship.
Now let's talk about the dome. It's a really special feature, but we left the ship feeling, if we're honest, a little bit cheated, that it had failed to live up to its billing. Now, of course, this is likely to be fixed soon, but right now it's hard to know what role the dome will play in upping the entertainment game on this ship even further.
And number 4, during the first sea day on this ship, it felt like everything in and on the ship was on steroids. The music around the pool was so loud that you literally could not hold a conversation, and congestion in all the public areas was almost unbearable, with queues for everything, queues I've never seen. The impression set that day turned out to be false, but you could be forgiven for believing that you had stepped onto a carnival ship. It does have to be said that this ship lacks genuinely quiet public areas, which you typically find on other ships if you look hard enough.
So that concludes our review of Sun Princess. It is a lovely ship with great entertainment and some strong points. We do look forward to experiencing both this ship again and Star Princess in the future to see if the issues we've identified here have been ironed out. Why not look at our other cruise videos, including our popular Celebrity Edge review and due out soon reviews of Wonder of the Seas and Celebrity Reflection, plus a comparison of Princess, Celebrity and Royal Caribbean. In the meantime, thanks for watching and ciao for now.